Okay, so hi, my name is Gilli, and welcome to my TPOL. So this year I have gained and strengthened aspects that incorporate my educational, social, and every part of my life. The first aspect I want to talk about is leadership. Before sophomore year, I found myself to be a leader and a follower when it came to group projects. But the problem is that when I was the leader, I usually took on majority of the work because I had a vision for myself and my own final product that not everyone in my group fully would understand. So being the perfectionist that I am, it was kind of hard to let go of that role, but in the Traveling Without Moving project, I was able to put more trust into my group members with more portions of the work. So this project was all about city planning and making a difference in the community. So looking at what would benefit the people who live there and also the communities around it. So the overall question for my group specifically was how might we generate a more inclusive feeling without destroying the culture and beauty of the neighborhood. So this was a very big topic to take on because there were a lot of aspects we had to look at. And being the leader was very demanding because I had to make sure that everyone in the group, which it was a group of 6, so it was a lot of people, that everyone in the group got equal work, that I made the end vision very clear, that everyone was on task, that I solved problems that came upon along the way, and of course that I did my own share of the work. But this project definitely improved my leadership skills and allowed me to learn about my group and more about myself. On the topic of learning more about myself, the next aspect of this year was discovering and exploring my passions. So this semester in the San Diego Sanctuary project, we were tasked with answering the big question of what can responsible people do when confronted with evidence of acts against humanity. So within this project, we were given a lot of freedom, and I was able to incorporate my already developed passion for writing, but also acquire a fascination for global issues and the different views that society has. So I wrote an article for the blog Teens for Refugees, which I was able to learn about the writing process, the publishing process, kind of, and also talk about how I felt that teenagers could be making a difference and educating themselves, which I was able to share with a lot of people. Something that was really cool to me about this project, though, was that I was able to put my words into actions. So I was able to write about it and talk about it, but I was also able to send postcards to 45 different countries and give donations to organizations that are helping refugees. So I thought that that was really cool. Along with that, this project made my connection to the news grow stronger. So not only did I speak on the news about this project, but I was also able to learn about global issues and be more involved with watching the news, which leads me to my next interest, languages. So this is my first year learning Spanish since 2nd grade, which I don't really remember a lot because it was 2nd grade. So this year has really introduced me to a love of languages and the power that they can have, which is partially why I am currently learning American Sign Language. So this semester I was able to challenge myself by taking the XBlock Spanish Honors. And so for that project, it was once again a lot of freedom within the project. So I was able to kind of design what I wanted to do and include my own interests. So what I did was first I researched 3 different poets, female poets from Argentina, Panama, and Costa Rica. And then I also researched 3 female presidents from those same countries. And so what I did was I made a book out of those researches, and I put in poetry written by the poets, and I also created my own poetry, and this is one of my poems. And I also wrote about the strength of female presidents in those countries. So this was a really cool experience for me because I was able to see my writing come alive in a new language, which was an experience that I had never had before. But I was also able to shed light on the strength and power of women in other countries, which is yet another one of my passions. So women's rights and making sure that women feel empowered has been a big part of my life ever since I can remember. But definitely this year I feel like it was strengthened thanks to joining Girl Up Club. Girl Up Club is a really good club when you want to surround yourself with people who want to acknowledge the strength of women just as much as you do. And so within Girl Up Club, we went to a lot of events and we talked about a lot of topics, and it was a really cool experience. So one of the events that we went to was International Day of the Girl Child, which is what some of these pictures are from. It was at UCSD, and it was really cool because they had a lot of booths for organizations such as Planned Parenthood and the UCSD Sexual Assault Resource Center. And I thought it was really cool because it had a lot of support around women and making sure that they feel strong and safe and supported by not just women, but men as well. So it was also really cool because there were women guest speakers who have kind of really important jobs in higher places, and they talked about their experience by being surrounded by men all the time. And I thought that it was really cool because they talked about kind of proving and overcoming the fact that they are one of the only women in their workplace. So events like these are really powerful to bring people, men and women, together to kind of discuss and support a common goal. So joining Girl Up Club gave me also some possibilities for what I would want to study in college, actually. So one of the things that also inspired me was that my sister this year was taking a sociology class in her first year of college. And one day she left her textbook out, so I was curious, and then I opened it, and I happened to flip to a page called The Concept of Gender That Society Has Created. And so I found it very interesting, and it kind of intrigued me and made me want to think about and look into colleges that have women in gender studies. So that leads to my next aspect, which is independence. So this year has been all about researching colleges and kind of setting myself up for success. A lot of people, when I talk about this, they say oh wow, you're already looking at colleges. And at first I was really surprised too, but I realized the importance, especially for an athlete who wants to go to a high academic school. So that is why I have a tutor named Monette. She lives in Georgia. And she helps me prepare for the ACT, which I recently took, but I'll probably take again in the fall. So, but yeah, so researching and contacting schools for the softball portion is also a really big part of reaching out and researching colleges and things like that. So that's some of the things over here. I've heard back from 2 schools, but I feel like there's a lot of other options, and I'm going to a recruiting tournament this summer that will hopefully get me more exposure and open up more options. But definitely discovering myself and discovering that these plans might change, or it might go in a different direction that I never even thought about. So yeah, so thanks to all this self-discovery, I feel like this year went pretty well, but it definitely wasn't a smooth ride. I still had some challenges. Every year in my POL, I talk about perfectionism because it's something that I deal with a lot, but I take like steps little by little, but it's never really been fully out of my life. So, but it has affected like my collaboration skills, my efficiency, my stress level sometimes, and my ability to be open-minded. So, but this year I feel like I learned to deal with failure. One of the biggest kind of failures that I and my softball team had this year was we went to the championship game, but we lost. So that was very disappointing, but it's okay because we're going to do it next year. It's okay. Another thing that I struggle with is challenging myself inconsistently. So I definitely do feel that I challenge myself, but there are some times when I feel like I don't have as much to do as other times. So there are some nights where I'll have a bunch of extra hours of time, but there are also some nights where I'll have like loads of work. So I feel like next year a goal for me is to be more consistent with my schedule and make sure that I'm busy enough to realize my priorities, because knowing myself, I work better under like time pressure kind of, which sounds weird, but that's just like myself personally. So spreading tasks out evenly, like day to day, and making sure that I'm getting everything done will definitely be something that I will want to do next year. But as for things that I'm excited about, I'm definitely excited to continue my learning for American Sign Language and Spanish, and then possibly other languages if I find one that I am interested in. To visit colleges I'm really excited about, to take college classes, honors classes, and definitely to continue to discover myself. So, I have acquired so many skills and a lot of knowledge this year, and I'm excited to uncover more of my life's path as the years continue. So, thank you for coming to my POL. Are there any questions? Yes.
Since you developed that passion for learning, especially languages, is there an opportunity at this school to pursue Spanish further? Or if not, what could you do as a proactive, empowered student to bring forth those opportunities?
Well, one thing that Loredana had like talked to me about was like studying abroad and traveling, so that the language is something that you're doing every day and that you're involved with like the culture and the language, because like both of those combined will kind of help you learn it more, you know. So being in an environment where you're constantly speaking it, I feel like that will help. So maybe taking a trip or something like that. But yeah.
Great, thank you.
Philip?
Are you planning on playing softball in college?
Yes.
So then, how do you plan on handling like two huge loads like that with softball and like the workload that college is going to bring?
Well, I feel like if I can, well, I mean, you'll have a lot more freedom in college, like to decide your own schedule of your classes and stuff. So I think that planning my own schedule and making sure that I have enough time for both will definitely be important. But also, I mean, doing it next year I feel like will help me. Like, well, I'm going to take the like college math course next year, which I'm also, I might take some in the spring too, so that will like possibly interfere with softball, but I'll definitely have to find balance within that, so. Yes.
So it seems like next year you're gonna have like lots of things to do, and with lots of things to do, that adds like a lot of stress. So how do you think you're gonna like handle all that? Like, do you have any like ways?
Coping tools. It's great.
Well, I think allowing yourself to relax at certain times is helpful. Like hanging out with friends, or just like taking a nap if you need one. So yeah.
I'm curious. It's sort of a question that's well, it's a broader question, but I think one of the things I wonder, sometimes when students are doing their TPOLs, they've struggled a lot with like time management and getting things done, and these are not your struggles. I'm wondering, what do you use to, what tools do you use to keep yourself organized? Because you have a lot going on. I mean, on top of school, on top of softball, on top of learning ASL and researching colleges and watching the news and writing all those things. So what do you use? Do you use a planner? Do you use a Google Calendar? Like, how do you keep stuff straight?
Well, I do write things on my calendar at home. Like I have one that's on my wall. Yeah. But I make like checklists every day.
And do you just put it on random paper?
Yeah.
And you just carry it in your pocket? Or what do
Yeah.
do?
Usually, well, some of my notebooks. Well, I have like a lot of notebooks, but some of them are like for specific things, and then so I'll just make a checklist. And I swear I make checklists like every day.
Great.
Even if it's not for like school things, if it's like things I need to do at home.
Sure.
So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Let's appreciate Gilli for her thorough, wonderful answer. Bravo.